Phoenix Mercury are 13-23. There are 8 games left in the season, and the playoffs seem like they're way out of reach, but there's still a lot to play for on today's show. Stephen and I will talk about what that is after this. What's up? What's happening? Good evening to all of you tuning into the PHNX Mercury podcast. My name is Gil. I got Stephen to my right, and of course, yeah, he's trying to figure it out. And while he tries to figure it out,
the mic is winning right now.
Yeah, the mic is up right now. But that's all right because we got Kevo Post behind the Mac making it happen. It was good to have you back. I know we had you back on Sunday, but this is like a typical Tuesday show. Kev, how are you feeling today? Much better than Stephen with the microphone.
I'm good. At the buzzer, I'm good now.
I mean, at the buzzer.
Bang!
At the buzzer. If the buzzer is us starting, then you're extra time. Soccer's still going on. They got you in extra time, but it's all good. Kev, you good? Stephen, you good?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Happy to be here.
Happy to be here. I thought you said, how do you do here? Happy to be here. I got you now. I'm up to speed. Yeah, I'm happy to be here as well. Even if
Follow Walla Walla.
Walla. even if the Mercury are 10 games below 500, and before we get into that stuff, gotta acknowledge Anime and Hoops in the chat.
Big news
today.
Indeed.
Maddie Westbeld has signed with the Phoenix Mercury for the remainder of the season. Had a good opportunity with the Sky in her rookie season last year in 2025, appeared in 26 games. This year was on a developmental contract, only saw action in 3 games, but now has an opportunity for a team that in many ways has their eyes on the future to play for the same franchise that has employed her sister and will employ her sister again once she's healthy again. But when you saw that news, heard that news, it was initially the offer sheet yesterday, confirmed today, new player in the Valley.
Indeed. New player, looks very similar.
Yes.
To someone that's already here.
Yeah. They wear a lot of the same traits physically.
Indeed. They have very similar skill set, the same. I think Kat maybe plays a little bit, Maddie might play just the slightest bit bigger than Kat does in certain respects, but also in certain respects, Kat plays a little bit bigger than Maddie. So it's not copy and paste per se, but they do have some overlapping skill sets that are complementary to the way the Mercury, the way the Mercury want to operate in the front court in particular. So I think it's a fun get for the franchise. Obviously, it's not for down the line this season specifically, but it does have some good opportunity that it'll set Maddie up for as she kind of lands here and becomes a Phoenician. And I think that something that she provides very similar to her sister that's going to help is going to be, one, she has a certain versatility and motor that she plays with, very blue collar. And then for 2, she can also space the floor. And that's something that the Mercury in the front court have been in dire need of. People that can viably space the floor around everything they like to do with their now big 3. So I think it's a good spot for Maddie. Salute to the Chicago Sky for their very strategic maneuvering of developmental contracts and players that ultimately get to standard contracts, because if they did not tie up Sydney Taylor the way that they did going from training camp and preseason into the regular season, you would have seen a team like the Mercury that had money available go and snatch Sydney, no different than they did with the opportunity on the developmental contract that they did with Maddie. So job well done from them, but the Mercs still get a very solid player with a high ceiling in terms of potential.
No, for sure. And I was kind of looking at some numbers. Obviously not a lot to take away from her W career so far. As I mentioned, she's appeared in 29 games, had a much larger role. Her rookie season, you mentioned her three-point shooting. She knocked down 17 threes as a rookie, just under 40% from the field, is 24 years old, listed at 6'3". So when you think about all those things, also played at Notre Dame.
Indeed.
So a lot of parallels. Obviously, the last name is where it all begins, and them being family. And that is an important part of it too, right? Where you have someone who they don't have the exact same games. They're not identical in the way they look or on the way they play, but they have some similar traits. And you talk about a lot of the ways that Kat has been missed this season and the things that she would have brought to this team to get some of those similar traits in different ways. And there's opportunity for her as well when you talk about where this team stands right now. Again, it's not over until it's over, and it's almost over, but the playoff chances are not completely done yet. But beyond that, when you talk about playing and thinking about the future, we could look back, a year from now or 2 years from now and say, hey, remember when the Mercury were able to do this offer sheet and sign Maddie Westbeld for the remainder of the season? And now I couldn't imagine them without her being, the 7th, 8th, 9th player on the roster. And I'm not here saying, oh, she's about to be the heir apparent. She's the next franchise player. But she could be a very important piece for what they are trying to build. When you talk about depth and you talk about consistency and people that you can rely on in the right situation with the right opportunity, Maddie Westbeld could be that.
100%. And I think she's in a situation that puts her in a position where, for one, she doesn't have a big like Camila Cardoso that's eating up a majority of those front court minutes in a way that she typically would. So I think that if you're looking at her with the Mercury, naturally, yes, you do have someone like Natasha Mack. But after Natasha Mack, ... There's opportunity there. Now, she will have to go and compete with players like Kiara Linskins for those minutes, but we haven't seen Kiara consistently getting minutes in the rotation as is. So I think there's opportunity there for Maddie, and it's just a matter of what her preparation, what her skill level is looking like when she does actually touch the floor for the Mercury. But like I said, it's not something that's going to raise their ceiling per se, but to your point, somewhere down the line, it's something that could potentially raise their floor. And just having another blue collar player in that front court room. But in addition to that, I guess while we're talking about Westbelds, we did have a first chance to see Kat Westbeld on the floor in an official capacity where we could actually, record and say something about it. She's been on the court for about maybe 2 weeks or so at practice, just getting individual work in, not doing anything team related, just one-on-one skill development stuff. But we did get a chance to see her in detail on Saturday, or was it Saturday? Yeah, Saturday, at shoot around. No, was that Friday or Saturday? I'm getting my days mixed up now. I think it was Saturday.
Because
Diana's game was Saturday, so it was Friday then.
Whatever day it was, wasn't it? It was at 5G though, right?
It was at 5G, yes.
Okay, so that would have been Saturday because
Diana's game was Sunday,
and they had the Diana
Saturday.
event at their facility on Saturday night, which is why they couldn't be. See, that is how we use teamwork to solve problems, right there. Look at that.
So yes, well said, sir. Saturday we got a chance to watch her get a little bit of a workout in, and she looked. Obviously, big smile with everything because,
of course,
coming back from
doing what you love.
Nothing's guaranteed, even if the success rate of injuries like that with her left ACL are obviously high nowadays. Her back on the court, kind of back at one of her happy places. She was definitely, you could see and you could feel the kind of energy that she was putting into it all. So good to see that. Obviously not playing the rest of this season, but I think her just getting back on the court. The first time we did get a chance to see her make her first time back on the floor about 2 weeks ago was met by Mercury staff with a nice celebration. Coaches coming out of their meeting rooms to make sure that they, showed her some love, gave her some energy, let her know that you haven't been alone through this journey and we're excited to see you back on the floor. Now have fun and do what you got to do to get back to the game shape because they're firmly looking forward to having her around next season.
Absolutely, and I think that shows the buy-in of her long-term future. Bringing her younger sister in also shows the buy-in. It's not just some feel-good story to have these two sisters. It adds to it, but it's about the basketball of it too. And I'm fortunate enough to have not dealt with that type of injury. I have dealt with some long-term injuries, and to know, as you talked about the support, those things are hard. Days get dark. You don't get a chance to do a lot of the things that you're normally able to do. And there are times where you need that support system, that push to get you where she is. So to hear that that's the type of support that she's been having. Shout out to Fumbling Dimes, all good. People get it wrong all the time. So I appreciate you apologizing for that. They asked about these contracts not counting toward the cap. I'm not going to pretend like I am a WNBA cap specialist, but they also pose a question. Both of us, you probably know more than I do as far as that goes.
It's still a little bit of a gray area to
because it is
extent.
a new CBA as well.
Yes, so I don't want to speak where I'm not informed or where I haven't done my research to yet. But there is some strategic maneuvering of the cap that the Mercury are putting on display. And I think that's largely why they've done some of the things that they've done, the back and forth from 10-day deal to off the roster, the 10-day deal with Marta Suarez and different things like that. They've navigated with a fine-tooth comb on that front to give themselves an opportunity like this.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that's important to talk about through this lens of what's remaining here for the remainder of the season. It is smart things like that. It is what else is in store for this team. And that's what we plan on focusing on for the majority of today's show, which, by the way, is brought to you by our friends over at Mountain America Credit Union. And we have more on our friends over there in a bit. But, you know, we talk about how Sunday's game went, and it was very unfortunate that on the night that Diana Taurasi was honored, the Merc weren't able to get it done. They relinquished another late lead, did not make enough plays, and they're missing there was an all-star size void that was missing as Kelsey Plum not being available, still dealing with the leg tightness that has held her out the last few games. You fall at 13-23, and I think what's also really frustrating, because you're just scoreboard watching now as a fan of the game, and to see the internal strife and the fact that I believe Dallas is 3-7 in its last 10, that might have been the team that you could jump up and catch, especially knowing you play them a few more times. But that is something that would have to take a catastrophic meltdown from that team at this point. So you can't really look at that 8 seed, basically all but out of reach. But you're still playing to win basketball games. Every time you step on that floor, there is something that you can achieve, something you can be better about, whether it's short-term or long-term. So, Stephen, when you think about that, you were at practice today, so you got an idea of how the vibes are around this team. So first of all, I want to ask you, how are the vibes around this team? Then we can get into what there is that's left to play for in this final stretch. 8 games left this season.
For sure. I mean, they're still working. Like, it's not like, okay, well, we can't make the playoffs, so just pack it in, just mail it home. We can just get in and out of here, check off the box. Nah. Sammy's still getting up multiple threes in different capacities after practice. Kelsey Plum, I don't think participated in practice, but I don't want to speak where I'm not privy to. She was getting individual work in, though. It was fun to see her go through some development things with assistant coach T.C. Swirsky, just going through some different isolation, working against hand help and working against gap help and things like that. And then you got all other types of players on the other court just getting in work together. Shooting partners, working on dribble drives, like all types of things. So it's very much still feels like the same gym that it did 2.5, 3 months ago, where they were still very much in the thick of things. I think they acknowledged that, you know, the extent of the season that they would hope for maybe is a lot shorter than what they desired, but there's still work to do. There's still an opportunity. There's still a standard that you have to play up to. And it's funny you're asking me that, because I asked Kahleah Copper the exact same thing today at practice. And true to her form, she was not one to dance around the topic or mince her words at all. She got very much straight to the point and let it be known exactly what it is that they're playing for and what she's hoping to see more of. Here's what Kahleah Copper had to say to me today.
We ain't playing for nothing. Like, we gonna go out there, we gonna give it our all every single night. I think that for us is important, is to continue to show teams who we are and who we're gonna continue to be. So, you know, every time we step out there on the court, we're competing. We're gonna have some pride, we're gonna have that toughness, we're gonna have that edge. So I think just throughout these last games, we're not just going through the motions, we're not giving up on anything. So we're just gonna hoop.
So prior to the clever cutting of the clip from Mr. Thomas, there was an F-bomb drop from Kahleah Copper.
Some colorful language.
Some very colorful language to just get her point across to what it is she's hoping to see from the team, and that's effing pride. And it wasn't said in a way that she's holier than thou. She was said as if it's very much inclusive of her. So wanting to do a better job of setting a tone, wanting to do a better job of maintaining the margins that they know they need to have a chance to win at the end. Showing those qualities that the Mercury as a franchise are known to have in place, regardless of what the standings are and what the ultimate end of their season might be and all of those things, getting to the point. That's very much what she spoke to and how she obviously communicated with me. So she's looking forward to them putting forth a whole lot more pride down this home stretch. I guess we can go ahead and roll to the Nate Tibbetts clip too, Kevin. But Nate mentioned to me just some little things that he's looking for as well, but also that he was proud of some things that he's seen recently. Here's what Nate had to say about that same question I posed to Kahleah.
Yeah, I think, how we played in Portland the other night, just as far as our effort goes, obviously, like, end-of-game execution will be a big thing for us. I think just for me and for us, what we've talked about is continuing to fight, to have pride, be about the right stuff, hold the Mercury standard. This is kind of a messed up week. We go from 7 games in 14 days to 2 games in 12 days. They're kind of looking around like wanting to feel a game today was good. Like, it wasn't like perfect, but it was a little clunky at times. And, we'll have tomorrow will be like an optional day, and then we can get back to work on Thursday.
You mentioned some of it before the game against Portland, just having so many days to prepare for just one opponent, but even past the prep for an opponent, just the fortifying the principles and just kind of, ironing out kinks. How important is it to actually have practice to be able to walk through things and then kind of detail it like that?
I think it's very important. I think that's one of the things that is maybe a little bit different. Going from 36 games to 40 games to 44, and then next year 50, you're going to have less prep time in practice and more games in that window. So just maneuvering that, and when you do have those days, taking full advantage of them.
Yep, so it's very clear that though there isn't much light in postseason form at the end of the tunnel for the Mercury in the 2026 regular season, or postseason per se, they still are very much focused on, okay, we have these principles we want to play to, we have this standard that we still have set, and there might not necessarily be direct carryover from game 44 this season to preseason game 1 of 2027, but what can carry over is, remember what we did down that home stretch. Remember, we played with a certain level. We ruined some people's seasons down that home stretch of games. If we didn't have as much to play for ourselves in terms of the standing and record, we had enough to play for in terms of competition. Mm-hmm. And approaching it with that in mind, I think, matters a lot. And that's why I mentioned that you could still feel that it was very much a worker's paradise, if you will, when walking into their practice gym today.
And Laura makes a good point. You still got to play for the love and the respect of the game.
Period.
That's
the
what
name
that's
on the front and the back.
That's a name exactly, and that is the mentality of, hey, we're 0-0. Everybody's 0-0 still. Now, of course, the standing suggests otherwise, and who's still standing when the next season and the playoffs roll around is important as well. But when you're at this point, you just are 0-0. I talked about so much, going 1-0 every day when the playoffs were still a long shot, but still a shot. And now it's basically an impossible shot. But you still have to go and improve. And as you mentioned, building. Momentum is very real. Momentum is real, and not just in the sense of let's build momentum going into the end of the season. Let's build momentum going into the Olympic break, whatever it is. Let's build momentum going into next year. Because you feel so much better about a team that goes 6-2 in their last 8, even if that doesn't get them to the playoffs, than a team that goes 4-4 or 3-5 or 2-6. So to try and find ways to learn different challenges, because you might learn something about yourself. You might find a lineup that works, something that you can build, a concept that you can go into this offseason saying, we want to lean more into this. You're also, let's not forget, adding on to the recruiting pitch that you are putting toward Kelsey Plum as far as winning basketball games and saying, hey, look, when you were available for a full game, we had this winning record with you, assuming and hoping that she is available to return to the lineup sooner rather than later. All of these things, you can go into it and say, hey, well, hey, look, we were, let's just say they finished the season 6-2. Oh, we were 19-25 this year, but once you got here, we did this. And when you were available for us, we did this. Let's build on that. We're going to lean into this. We're going to bring more of this in there. Bear with us. So those are the things I think are very important down the stretch of a season like this one, and it does not start without that mentality and approach they've had in practice like you described.
100%. And if we take it even maybe a step further than that, and you talk about the lofty standard that's set for this franchise, one specific name comes to mind with that, obviously one that we spent a lot of time talking about over the weekend, rightfully so, which is the GOAT for, especially in Phoenix, but it's in the majority of people's minds on the WNBA circuit, Diana Taurasi. If she's mulling over the thought of being a part of this franchise, and she gets even the slightest bit of an inkling that, hey, man, I don't really like the way y'all ended the season. Maybe not in terms of record, but in terms of approach. That might be enough to say, hey, I'm cool. I'm good. I'm not speaking for Diana, but I know she's one hell of a competitor. Mm-hmm. And if she sees that anybody's just not giving it their all, I imagine that's not going to be something that she wants to be a part of.
Right.
And I also imagine that that's just not something that the Mercury have to worry about because of the people that they have in the building. Yes, you can. And it's going to come across as just kind of giving an out for franchises. This is not why I'm presenting it this way, but I think it matters in the context of the Mercury. When you're putting a roster together, you obviously want to make sure that you have people that you feel like you can win with. You also want to have people that you feel like if you are going to lose, you're going to lose with a certain level of pride. Mm-hmm. The pride word is literally what Kahleah Copper used, what we talked about a little bit earlier. I think they have a ton of those people in the room, from coaching staff to player personnel and all of that stuff. I think that's why they are the team that they are. It wasn't always pretty when Diana was here. There were a couple of down years while she was around at the peak of her powers. And then they figured it out that following season. It was never truly consecutive. So they're in a situation right now where they just have only thing to play for is themselves at this point, because it's not going to be, reflective in the standings per se.
Wow. Well, first we got Otto saying they expect a blowout on Saturday night.
I wouldn't if Kelsey Plum plays, but
rebounding is terrible last few games. Looks like we're trying to experiment with lineups to see what we have. Focus on the back end of that message. I think that is very astute observation and very important to note that, because in some ways you're not necessarily going to completely change your identity, but you're trying to figure out, okay, what we came into this season attempting to do, obviously, as the results show, has not worked. But what does work? What can work with this group? How can we make things work with this group? Building around this team, maybe even ushering in a new era. How can we bridge the gap between our trio of star players are in their 30s? They have a lot left to give the game, but how do we put them in a position that they can pass the torch off to someone else? What type of players fit that bill? So I think that's an interesting way to think about it. And some of it's worked. For sure. Like some of the lineup stuff has worked in some of the games that have been won. We've had conversations about lineups that looked a little bit different than anything we've ever seen. Now, it hasn't all worked. They've still lost more games than they've won this season. And this, while play has been better, it has not been the level that it needs to be. So I'm curious. I'm also very curious to think what it's like for a team to have 6 days to prepare between games. Such a strange place. It's hard for us. What are we doing preparing? We had Sunday's game we talked about Diana Taurasi, and now we have all this practice stuff to look ahead to. But still got several more days before we see them take the floor again. But losing the way you lose on Sunday, on that day, and what all that day meant, allows you to build a little more steam, especially against this Atlanta team that you have not had luck against yet this season.
Yeah, or last season for that matter.
Yeah, fair.
And I think that's as you heard in the clip we played with Nate, that's part of what I asked him as well. Like, just actually having multiple consecutive practice days that you can sequence things together with. You can even build in an off day, an optional off day for your players if you actually want to do that, which they have tomorrow. There's a certain level of preparedness that you can actually get to when you're not going from Chicago on the 3rd of September or August rather, and then your 1 day off is a travel day to then go and play the Atlanta Dream on the 5th. Like it just hits a little different when you actually have that rest and preparation time. So I imagine the rest and prep side is in favor of Kelsey Plum with her injury, as we hope that she's available to play on Saturday and she can make her Mercury debut in front of X Factor. If her being mentioned and included in Diana's post game was any indication, she's going to be well well received by X Factor when her name is ultimately called in the starting lineup. So hopefully that Saturday we look forward to seeing that on the Pink Initiative Day that they're putting forth against the Atlanta Dream. But I do think this team is going to be one that continues to show fight in multiple respects. Question for you, Gil.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at Saturday's game against the Atlanta Dream, obviously a team with a ton to play for. They're trying to get top 3, top 2 seed. They're jousting with some teams in the standings right now. How high up the priority spectrum do you feel that making things that much more difficult for teams is going to be for Phoenix? Like the petty button. How high up the spectrum will the petty button be for a competitive team like the Mercury?
It should be pretty high. I think it will be pretty high when you think about the personalities in this locker room, and not even in the sense of like they're just like they are competitors, as you said, and real fierce competitors find different things, different ways to win the game within the game. Okay, well, we can't get this done, but we can make your path a little bit more difficult. We can beat a team that we haven't beaten yet this season, because you would know this, like at any level of competition, if you have an opponent, whether it's one-on-one or your team, your school versus their school, or your men's league team versus their men's league team, whatever it is, if you have this opponent that you cannot beat, you take that personally. So Dream, you mentioned,
Nightmare.
Lack of success the last couple seasons. Mystics, a team that they had this eye on, maybe we can catch them if we play them 3 times. Lost the first one, and it wasn't pretty. Okay, Toronto's a team who I believe you split with already, and the first one you feel like you probably should have gotten. Who wins the season series? Portland, they ruined Diana Taurasi night. Let's go back up there and get another one on their home floor.
Against them too.
You can find So you can find these different ways, and also the big thing too, the tempo game is the last game before everybody leaves to go to Berlin. And I'm actually curious, and this is an important note today. I think I saw Carol Lawson say that they're not doing any training here in the States. They're meeting out in Berlin, which could impact and affect how teams like the Mercury, who have multiple players on that national team, manage their respective workloads before then as well. But you want to get some momentum going and be playing some of your best basketball before you go overseas to represent your country as well. So a lot of games within the games, you can find different ways and different things to compete for before things take that pause before the season winds down.
100%. We got 2 comments in the chat from Ghost of Geraltis. I hope I said that right. I did not, but I hope I did the second time. Mentioning Cole, and then we have Animan who's mentioning Nipsey. I'm right at home.
Yeah, they know
right at home.
They know, yeah,
for sure. But yes, I think that being able to play spoiler to other teams and whatever it is that they're working towards matters. I think it doesn't trump what they're working for internally on their side individually, like as a team on their own. But I do think it adds a different layer to some of these higher level opponents that they have in the schedule down the home stretch. Obviously before the FIBA break at the end of the month, and then when they return 2 weeks after that and pick up play for their last couple of games too. I also do think that there is some carryover that they can get from their big 3 playing together, spending time on the floor together. Yes. And obviously with Nate Tibbetts traveling over to Berlin as well, that's another kind of additional, like a bonus to having a coach that's involved with that. Because it's not like, man, all right, Kelsey, we'll see you when we get back. You got franchise player going over there with you and your coach going over there with you. So it's time spent in a different capacity. And for a team that's in the kind of dire straits that they're in, that might be a gift, blessing in disguise, just to spend more time in a different capacity and things like that. So I think there's still plenty to play for this team down the line. Top of the list is probably just going to be ironing out kinks amongst the big 3, keeping them on the court and healthy together to gauge and assess what they're really good with, how they can feature them in trio with each other, and then also figuring out what it is that they need most around them to then go and find ways to attain in free agency and build out going forward into 2027.
Absolutely. A lot left to be played for, a lot of different landmarks left on this season's schedule as well, with the biggest at this point being the FIBA break and all that entails. Speaking of breaks, we're going to go into our break quickly, and then we'll get back and continue to talk what lies ahead for the Phoenix Mercury over the final several weeks of the 2026 WNBA season. Listen, you got to keep your circle close. Inner circle at Circle K.
Say circle so small, it's a period.
Some that has been said before, but inner circle is an exclusive circle, but you can be a part of the inner circle. In fact, we're all part of Circle K's inner circle, and it pays to be a Circle K Inner Circle Rewards member. You save money on fuel.
Need that.
You save money on beverages on the inside. I'm
that.
talking about they have 79-cent Polar Pops, 99-cent Frosters, and if you're above the age of 21, they have a couple deals on the aluminum cans of some of your favorite adult beverages as well. And it just pays to be an Inner Circle member. And you would think that with all that saving that you can do, it would cost an arm and a leg to join the Inner Circle. It would require a lot of your information to be input. But Stephen, I feel like that's not the case, no?
Indeed, it's not.
Indeed, it's not. So when you think about being an Inner Circle member, you just really give them a little bit of your information, your phone number, email address, and then next time you go to Circle K, you input your phone number and you start saving money. Simple enough? Simple enough. So you can join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details.
Gil and Steven, if I sent y'all into Circle K right now and I said,
Gummy sharks.
we're on
Gummy
a road
sharks.
trip.
Gummy sharks.
What are you bringing out? All right,
Blue
you said
sharks.
gummy sharks,
Blue
blue
sharks.
sharks.
Gummy worms and the mango Powerade you can only get at Circle K.
Okay. I'm gonna get some crunch for us.
Exclusive tea.
I'm gonna get some crunch for us, and I'm gonna get some peanut butter stuffed pretzels.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. Very elite.
Yes.
Very
Okay.
elite.
Yes.
Very elite. Very
Okay.
elite. Best snacks, best deals, best drinks.
Facts.
Circle K has you covered. Back here at the PHNX Mercury podcast, brought to you by our friends over at Mountain America Credit Union. And
Gil, if I may,
yes, you absolutely may.
we have some
You
news.
can even June and July if you'd like to as well.
Wow, even August. That's crazy.
You know, you got it.
Continue.
Oh, brother.
Thank you.
Guy stinks.
I was going to say we have some news today in the W.
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
We have a new mascot that has entered, with two new mascots that have entered the fray. I want your opinions on the Toronto Tempo's new mascots. Tempo unveiled Dot, the Arctic hare, featured on the left, and Dez, the snapping turtle.
Dez is kind of funny.
Dez is hilarious.
Dez is funny. You know what? I'm gonna shout out to Leah, shout out to Canada, shout out to the time I did stuff with NBA and WNBA Canada. There's gotta be something else going on like with this that I don't like. I don't want to speak out of turn.
Yeah.
You know, having not, you know, they're our neighbors, but I haven't spent enough time there to know. But I would assume that the tortoise and the hare.
Oh, like Tempo. Slow and fast.
Tortoise and
That's
just talking
incredible.
through
Waiting
it.
for the light bulb moment.
Can I
Just
be
talking
honest?
through
Was
it for
waiting
me.
for the light
Did I
bulb
just have
moment.
a dumb moment?
No, I think they have a dumb moment when they put this together.
When you connect the dots and just going
Connect
to
the dots.
see the words
'cause-
explaining, yes. Because that initial look, it doesn't connect.
I was like,
But
I
I
was
give
like,
them a pass because just having a mascot matters.
yes.
Take the Chicago Sky, for example. Skyly Lioness is not in her present iteration. She's not the baddie that she is now without multiple iterations leading up to. It's like Goku. This is like Super Saiyan 3 of mascotism for Skyly Lioness. She got on mics. She be footworking. She got a little ponytail that she be wagging around. She got a lace, like it's all there. It's all there. It takes time. These things take time. So this is the infancy stages of it.
Yeah, it's all, you know what, it takes time. It's all about the pace and the tempo with which you get there. But I just can't believe I had the tortoise in the hair realization. The light bulb went off. Like, that makes sense. That's clever, and I think that's cool because ultimately it's about the fan experience. It's also about the next generation of basketball players and basketball fans, or not just players, but people who want to work in training and want to work in game ops, whatever it is, for young kids to experience their first ever professional game and to have characters like this, but also ties into something that they know, because all of us remember where we were when we first heard. We might not remember where we were because we heard it so many times. But the story of the tortoise and the hare is very important. So thinking about that, and it's cute that it rhymes. It fits in with tempo. So I'll have to get familiar a little bit more with the characters themselves, but the concept gets an A for me. Kev, are you a fan or no? No, not even after we uncovered why.
It made it worse.
What if I told you?
Because it made it cringe.
What if I told you Drake played a part in all of this?
Doesn't really make me like change my opinion on it. I'd be like, okay, that's a pretty cool cosign. But like,
I have no confirmation that he did. I was just.
I mean, this thing on the man. I don't know.
Derek, you're in the studio. What do you think about the Toronto tempo? This is co-host.
My
Derek,
mic is on, so you can talk through me.
The Diamondbacks podcast here.
Arctic hair?
Yeah.
It's like the tortoise in the hair.
The tempo.
Because of the tempo. So you have the tortoise in the hair.
So it's fast and slow.
Oof.
That's what I said. It's kind of cringe, right?
If at the end of the day, this should make you appreciate Scorch that much more.
That's
make you appreciate Scorch and what you have that much more.
That's true. And it's funny because we saw at the 1997 game, we saw OG Scorch.
We did.
And we saw new era Scorch as well.
Yep.
But again, all it's about is the fan experience, and I'm sure look, listen and look.
Stop. Recognize and listen.
This dude.
I was just going to say that what is considered cool does vary from different locales and regions, and what is cool here to kids and or adults might not be the same thing with our friends and neighbors north of the border. So who knows? That could be the coolest thing we might be seeing.
In Crody's.
Them too. Yep. Yep. Them too. But yeah, Kev, I appreciate you bringing it up. And it's cool too though, because we talk about the Valkyries joining the league last year, Tempo this year, and so on and so forth. We continue to have. Otto mentions the Sirens coming in 2028. We got Philly coming. All these different teams joining the league, getting bigger and growing by the day. Still waiting for them to bring back the Charlotte Sting, but we won't get greedy.
That's what I was going to say too. But
we won't get greedy, but it eventually will definitely happen because some legends have definitely worn those purple and teal uniforms.
Oh yeah, and we need the jerseys, the jersey flavor back.
Need that back, purple and teal, man.
Jay Tatum,
tough.
Nelly, bring us a team. Make it happen.
I would just love if they were able to find a way to tie in Dawn Staley.
Yes.
Right down the street,
of course,
South Carolina.
About an hour and a half
going
away.
Nowhere, no time soon. Can you find a way to tie her in with that? And if you can, that would be the grandest of welcome backs as you possibly could salvage.
You get it.
I do get it.
You get it.
I also wanted to, while we're on the news front, touch on W All-Star.
Yeah.
2027.
In Ballhalla.
It's going to be in Ballhalla. So up there in San Francisco, in Golden State, what were your thoughts when you did hear that news? And Kevin, I would like for you to chime in after Mr. Gilliam.
Back on the West Coast, I'm excited about that. It feels like a little bit. It's not obviously how can you follow Chicago as that acts, but
you don't.
You don't. But you talk about places that are elite in the summertime. I've yet to be in the Bay Area that late in the summer. I've been there in late May. I've been there in February for when the NBA All-Star was there last year in February. But it's a fun place. It's cool, a good reward, because that is one of the most electrifying fan bases that has really just embraced everything about their franchise in short order. And to reward that area, and really just an area that lives and breathes and loves basketball the way that it's meant to be lived, breathed, and loved. It's going to be really fun. And you think about just like one of the more beautiful cities in this country, when you think about all of the wonders and things like that in summertime San Francisco, it'll be exciting. And I hope, fingers crossed, this time next year we'll be sitting here talking about how much fun that we both had out there in San Francisco at All-Star.
For sure.
Wow, just boxed me out like that. That was crazy. But yeah, I think I'm not a big All-Star Game location guy.
Really?
Yeah, it's going to happen somewhere every year.
That's fair.
Right? And I really only care, if I'm being honest, if it hits my city. Right? Like if it comes to Phoenix, if it goes to St. Louis, Chicago in Steven's case. Like I think that's when it's cool for me because I know what it means to that community. That. Right. Sure. But I didn't really feel any type of way when it got announced that it was going to Ballhalla. It's cool that it's in a nice temperate place. But yeah, no, I don't have too many thoughts on it, to be honest with you.
Steven?
I think what matters a lot for me is amongst those that have been covering the W for a handful of years, it feels like it's been a your turn, my turn of
dip the same over
Phoenix and Vegas, and then Chicago and Vegas, and then Chicago again, and then mixing in Vegas again, like
Indianapolis and Vegas.
Indianapolis one time, and then like there's some prime basketball culture locations that the W just naturally has under its umbrella as is. Atlanta naturally mecca for all types of culture and culture that aligns with a lot of the things that WNBA basketball stands for. Mm-hmm. I think would be something monumental. Something that Atlanta would not let the opportunity pass by without maximizing all that is worth. From fashion to the basketball itself to showcasing the city, all of the fun, different things for every person out there to get into nightlife-wise. You just want to go be social, not do anything with drinks, no clubs or nothing. They got plenty for you there. Right. If you are someone that likes to indulge, there's multiple different capacities for every person. I think that would be a great place that I look forward to having as they continue to rise to prominence. They're already about to potentially set a record for wins in a season, and they still have like 8-9 games left. Mm-hmm. And I think they're within one of that, so they'll get that. But going back to Golden State, I love that Golden State has it because, for one, they came in last season and were the first expansion team to ever make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Fast forward a year later, last night, they stamped their ticket to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. To do that in succession, and this being clinched, not even your fault, yes, facts. Mm-hmm. Not even fully through your second season as in the franchise's existence, and to have made the leaps and bounds of gain that they've made, put that in tandem with the clear culture that Ballhalla, literally the name Ballhalla itself and what it represents instantly. That's something that you want to lean into as much as you can. So this feels like as much of a reward to not just saying, oh, it's cool that you guys are around. Here you go. Like, nah, y'all show that y'all are here and y'all are about that business by the on-the-court standards, by the ticket sales, the fan experience that you put together, the investment from your front office and your ownership group that's been very intentional. You all earned this. Here you go. Now do what you can with that. I think that means a lot to me. And I say that because it allows you to break up the cycle of same 3 or 4 cities that are consistently getting it. You got a 1 in 4 chance of guessing who it's going to be. I'm so glad that they went outside the box with that. Much earned from Golden State. I hope they do well in the playoffs this season, and I hope they go forward into next season and put on a great show for All-Star because we plan to be there.
My last thought on this, too, because the season is in the summer and All-Star does take place in the summer. It affords you an opportunity to go to cities who you can only really truly enjoy this time of year. Not only true, because you can enjoy at their best at this time of year. So, and when you talked about Ballhalla, and I think just how unique it is in the W when you think about the standard that the X Factor has set for 30 seasons, as far as this fan base, this group of fans has its own identity that adds to the game day experience, that allows this team to play better, that can be that home court advantage. I think about that. I think about Ballhalla. I think about what Portland has established in short order this season. And when you watch games when they're playing there, like that's another city that you would probably love to be in the summertime. And they could host All-Star at some point in time down the line. So just a fun thing. I mean, you even talk about like on the East Coast, Liberty have their own reputation with how their fan base embraces and cheers for their team. The Lynx as well. So the Aces, of course, like it's a common thread with these good teams and what they have going on and what's going on there. So definitely very excited. Hopefully we're both there. Hopefully there are multiple Mercury players representing the team.
Seattle in that mix.
Seattle, yes.
Seattle's been 10 toes down about the investment in their franchise for quite some time now, about as long as Minnesota has been kind of spearheading a lot of that.
Absolutely. So when you think about that and you think about what lies ahead for the Mercury, we talked about it a little bit with this schedule for the remainder of the season. And it is not until, it just feels funny, not until Saturday here, and we will be back here talking with you again before Saturday. So we won't get too much into Saturday's game. In fact, we probably can talk more about Saturday's game on Thursday. But Saturday's game is a part of 8 remaining games: Atlanta, Washington twice, Toronto, Portland, Dallas twice, and Vegas to close the season. When you hear that group of teams, what do you think about that group of teams and the challenges they present? And I know we talked about like finding ways to make things interesting and build and work on things, but what specifically would you like to see from this Mercury team down the stretch of the season?
Copy and paste what Kahleah Copper said. Some pride. Because you're not, and what I love about this home stretch for the Mercury, these last 8 games, there is no that's a gimme game mixed in any of these. You might point out Toronto. Toronto beat you on your home court. And guess who's coming back relatively soon? Brittany Sykes, Slim. She's been a thorn in everybody's side when she was healthy this season. Firmly one of the better players. I am greatly looking forward to everything that this home stretch has to offer. I start with hoping that health is in favor of the Mercury, especially in the Big Three faction, but just in general, so that they can glean from this home stretch as much as they possibly can in what's needed in terms of functionality amongst their Big Three, what they need to do to add on the margins around them to maximize the potential of those 3 players, and really starting to harness what it is that's going to be this next era of the next era of Phoenix Mercury basketball. Gil, I would like to pick a game or two that you're looking forward to most, whether it be because of sequencing of games, whether it be because of the top tier matchups, whatever it is that catches your eye because of whatever that might be. I'm curious what's on your mind. I'll start us off with, let's go with this game on Saturday.
Okay.
So you got Big Barbie in town. You got Breezy in town. You got Alicia Gray, Ryan Howard, Jordan Canada, everything that they're playing for. The thorn in your side that team has been. Can you just go find a way and give yourself a boost in a way that maybe might be more impactful than any of the other wins on this slate of games, because you've beat all of these teams before in some capacity? That's the one team that you just really haven't been able to figure out to the extent of winning against over the last 2 seasons. I start with that of one of the 2 games I'm looking forward to, and now I'll pass it to you to either speak on that one or bring a new one to the front.
I'll talk about that one first, because one of the things that was so frustrating with this last Dream game between the Mercury and the Dream. Well, first of all, think about the first game. That was so long ago. It was in May, but I remember feeling like they had turned a corner. It was early in the season, and the Mercury had good vibes, and they were playing well. They had a late game lead, and then it evaporated. And not only did they lose that late game lead, they lost that late game lead in regulation.
Yep.
So I think about that, and I think about the last time where it just was, I won't even call it death by 1,000 paper cuts, but it was just not really any way that you won any matchups in that game. Yep. They got you on the interior. They got you from the perimeter, and you really did not have any ways after kind of keeping it close early on. It just was never really a way that you felt like you had a chance. So when I think about the final Dream game this upcoming weekend, it's ways in which you can impose your will and play the game on your terms. I think that'll be very interesting to see if that can be done based on learning the lessons from your 2 losses. Now, the 2 that I'll point out, and it's a pair of games, and for a long time we talked about that pair of Mystics games, but I'm going to talk about the pair of Wings games.
Yeah.
Because I've only played the Wings once this season. It felt like forever ago when that happened. And that was just kind of one of those weird games where it got away from you, and then you didn't really feel like you were hanging around in that one. The Wings have not been playing good basketball. They're 3-7 in their last 10. And again, there's a little bit of internal strife between coaching decisions and late game execution,
defense,
I do not think that this is going to be a time in the year in which, oh, hey, you beat the Wings these 2 games, you like leapfrogged them in the standings. Don't think that that's the case, but the Wings could have some other teams breathing down their neck, and you're like, hey, you have an opportunity to play spoiler. So do you have answers? Paige Beckers got real comfortable here last year, had a big game. How are you going to deal with her defensively? How can you deal with some of the size that they present and issues that they present that way as well? So I'm curious to see those games, especially with it being a home and home as well. And these are 2 of the last 3 games of the season. There might not be much left to play for but pride. So we'll see the level of pride that this team plays with and how they can build on some of the things. And this is the second and third games also out of the FIBA break as well. So kind of funny that you come back from FIBA and only have 4 games left in the season, especially when you're out of the playoff picture. But I think those 4 games, specifically those 2 games against Dallas, can go a long way in just establishing who you are and who you want to be moving forward.
I agree. I think those will also be some rather high-scoring affairs, just considering the way that the Wings play and the way they can fill it up. They've been losing games, but who hasn't been playing bad is Paige Beckers. She's still been putting that ball in the basket.
Finding ways to.
Just continuing. Special talent she is. I like those 2 picks that you brought to the conversation. I will draw some attention to that Portland Fire game. So the first game out of the FIBA break, September 17th, you're on the road in Portland. I think that Portland is a team that if you're not in tune with the margins of the game to the extent that you need to be, you can lose to them on any given night, whether you're hosting them or they're hosting you.
Yep, as we saw.
As we saw on Saturday or Sunday, exactly. I think that because you have your season series on the line, that is the rubber match for that game. The winner of that game wins the regular season series. I would like to see a certain level of competitive approach to that one. That is, y'all got us last time. Y'all caught us lacking. We didn't close the back door, and y'all swooped in and y'all got what y'all wanted from that. We're not doing that again. We are not going through that again. That could also be Kelsey Plum and Kahleah Copper coming back from a gold in the World Cup play, which they firmly and fully expect to. Can they take the momentum that they go and garner through that, bring it back stateside, and sprint through the finish line these last 4 games that they have? It will start with that one. That will be a resetting of the tone that'll come for the 3 games following, 2 of which you talked about against the Dallas Wings, a home and home.
For sure. I'm thinking about that, and because that final in the FIBA World Cup would be on Sunday the 13th. And then when you start thinking about the schedule itself, they play on the 17th. So the international travel it is what it is, but that would be a lot of jet lag to come back from Europe. And I'm curious again to see where the team is standing. And I would hopefully, and again, we're not scoreboard watching that much, but in a perfect world, there is at least just dragging out that the eliminated graphic does not go out for a while. If you can go out and just, again, go 1-0 a couple of times, maybe even not get eliminated until, because it does feel like it's an inevitability that they get eliminated, but maybe hopefully not until after the FIBA break, where you're still playing for a little something. You're still like, well, what if? Wouldn't it be crazy if this happened? Wouldn't it be wild if this happened this way? To at least hang on and hold on to that, bring some excitement, have a little bit of that. And this is an important stretch. This is a home stand that you have. The one thing about all of these upcoming matchups, Atlanta, Washington, Toronto, it is in front of your home faithful. And they've left a little bit to be desired. This team this season is 5-11 at home. 5-11 at home, but have an opportunity to at least try to finish it on the right note and get close. You can still finish 500 at home if you went out at home this year, which isn't the most far-fetched thing in the world. So that is a lofty goal, But that is the goal I'm going to set for this team, to try and at least close out. And when we talk about winning 6 of your last 8, win the 6 at home. And that includes, as Otto says, Washington, a hot team.
Yeah.
They have won a lot of games. They are 8-2 in their last 10. And they are within 2 games of a top 4 spot. Excuse me, within 3 games of a top 4 spot, which I don't think any of us would have projected when we had our eyes on them as that team that was going to be a little vulnerable at the 8th seed. So shout out to that team. Shout out to Sydney Johnson. Shout out to everything they've got going on.
Shout out Shakira.
Shout out Shakira. Shout out all of that squad. They've got a very good group of players that play well off of one another and are going to be a tough team to deal with. And we will see them here in short order. This time next week.
Next week.
This time next week we will be in the building for Mercury and Mystics. On the way out, Stephen, have any final thoughts, be it the remaining schedule, be it what you saw and heard at practice today, or something you might be looking forward to for the remainder of the week?
Yeah, I'll start with the billboard, or not the billboard, the big screen.
The big screen, yes.
Big screen news
LED.
that we got earlier today. Big LED screen being attached to, what is it, 9,000?
9,622 square feet.
That's a huge screen.
Didn't know they made screens that big.
I didn't either. I'm sure Matt didn't know either until he found out that they could do that.
Until he got the invoice?
Yep, the invoice like, okay, cool. That's pretty cool.
I could afford that.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to when that's attached. The Mercury won't see that until the 2027 season.
Right.
It'll be firmly around and established onto a Mortgage Matchup Center by then. Wanted to make sure we mentioned that. I'm firmly still excited to document everything that is Kelsey Plum in a Phoenix Mercury jersey. Mm-hmm. I think that though the season might be lost in terms of their playoff contention hopes, there's still a lot to play for. I'll continue to say that. And I think that Kelsey in the courting stages of everything that she is matters. I also think that she still wants to win. If you tell her you only have 8 games left in the season, cool, I'm trying to go 8-0. Anything less than that is just not going to be where it needs to be. So I'm looking forward to continuing to see how the partnerships between her and Kahleah and Alyssa continue to establish. It's very clear that there is very relevant levels of dynamic between each tandem of those 3 and all 3 being on the court at the same time. I feel like they haven't even scratched the surface or the tip of the iceberg of what those 3 can do in terms of usage and functionality and all of that fun stuff together. But I think one thing that is clearly understood is that they have something different than they had prior to Kelsey being around. And I don't think that's something that's lost on anyone, even if they are acknowledging that this season is going to be one that's underwhelmed in terms of its totality. So can you just look at the last 8 games as an opportunity to just run it up? Can you go 8-0? Can you go 6-2 like you said? Can you go do some things that you haven't shown to do at a sustainable level in a small window down this home stretch? That's what I'm kind of assessing things off of at this point.
Complete 40 minutes. We'd love to see a couple of complete 40-minute efforts. We've seen 32, we've seen 36, we've seen 38, but I'm not sure if there's been very many, if any, games we could confidently sit back and say that was a complete 40-minute effort from this Phoenix Mercury team. We appreciate you all hanging out with us for this hour-long effort, hour-long collaboration made possible by the man behind the Mac, Kevo Post. You can follow at Kevo Post. He comes with all the humor. He comes with all the sounders. He comes with all of everything you need over on the Bird app, and we appreciate him for all of that. You can also follow Stephen at Stephen PG3, and that is Stephen with a PH. You can follow me at Gil McGregor with an _. You can follow all of us at PHNX_Mercury. We appreciate each and every one of you who hung out with us today in the chat. We see you. We appreciate you. If you have not already, leave a like and subscribe to the channel on the way out. As for us, we will be back here with you all in about 48 hours, I guess, 47 hours at this point now. But Thursday, same time, 5:30 to talk about the nightmarish matchup with the dream that awaits this Phoenix Mercury team on Saturday. Until then, see ya.
We all silly like the mayor.